Hey, it's Jeremy from Oxner Insurance. Hope you're enjoying this wonderful Saturday. I was talking to a friend of mine and he was asking me questions about personal lines insurance and what's going on. And I've seen such a huge uptick in Facebook posts and neighborhood app and all this other stuff where there's a seems like there's a bunch of confusion on personal lines insurance and what is going on. Why are there such increases in my home and my auto insurance? Why am I getting non-renewed? And just hassles to renew policies. And this is for independent and captive agents, from what I'm understanding. Even there's a pretty solid rumor out there that one of the major captive companies is going to non-renew their 500,000 or higher coverage A uh, homeowners policies. So that includes all of the other companies besides just that one big captive that is owned by the parent company. So the question is, why is all of this stuff happening? Why are homeowners policies going up? Why am I being non-renewed? What is the confusion? Why can't people find policies for me? Because it's a big problem. So if you think of it as 5 lanes of traffic are the carriers that can provide homeowners insurance when the market is going well. Right now, you're down to about 1 lane, depending on who you ask. And carriers are putting restrictions on agencies. They're putting policy limits on agencies. They are putting coverage minimums on agencies. And there's things called pre-bind pauses, which require all of this in-field underwriting. Just the hope, if you do it, that you'll actually get a quote. And this is affecting all personal lines insurance in Northern Nevada. And here's a couple of things that are going on. So I'm going to try to talk about home and auto as one, and then I'll get specific on some on home or auto. But know this, that the majority of the carriers are running at a deficit. So their premium is here and their claims are here. So whether we like it or not, insurance companies are in business to make money. They're to make a profit. And if they can't make a profit writing business, then they either want to stop writing the business or pass through a rate increase. They want to take rate so that they get back to the right level of being profitable, so that if there was a major catastrophic problem, that they would be able to cover it for their people that have their policies. Well, they're having trouble doing that with the Department of Insurance. So that's one thing, is that the rate that they're asking for is not necessarily being granted. So we're in need of some sort of reform. The other thing is, there's carriers that have told us specifically, and I know they've told other agents, that up to as high as 80% of auto claims have lawyers or representation on the claims. We are not saying anything bad about bodily injury attorneys, but 80%? That seems pretty high. And if you also look at what the legislature did in Nevada and allowed the attorney now to have full disclosure for the deck pages, the limits on the auto policy, what do you think that could do to the claims amount of your standard run-of-the-mill auto claim? Now, listen, the disclaimer is we're not against attorneys. We work with them all the time. We enjoy working with them. But I think there's something to be walked out and looked at right there, is that if there are extra dollars in 80% of the claims, that's going to have a huge effect on insurance rates. So you couple that with the losses that the insurance companies are taking in Northern Nevada, their claims have gone up. Now add inflation. Yes, folks, I'm sorry to tell you, but inflation is real and it's super high. Reconstruction costs on homes continue to go up. Why do we know that? Because when we quote a home, we use what's called a reconstruction cost estimator, and they're still going up. Used to be $150, $170 a square foot. It's up into the $225s, $350 and higher, depending on the type of home. Why are reconstruction cost estimates going up? Because of inflation. The cost of raw materials and labor to rebuild the house, if there was a total loss, have gone up. So we've got claims being over premium, so the carrier's running at a loss. When we're getting claim, think of why, because we have all this inflation that's artificially driving up. So I have all these insurance policies for my home, auto, whatever, pick one. And all of a sudden I get some claims that were normal, but inflation's up how many percent? I don't know, 20, 25 over the past couple of years. That's having a negative effect. So you have carriers now saying, we don't want any more business. We're down to that one lane. Here's another reason, reinsurance. So the carriers buy insurance on their segments of business. Well, the reinsurance folks are charging a higher rate to the carriers. Why? Because they can stuff their money in the bank for 6.5%, probably higher in some cases, with no risk. Well, why wouldn't you put your money in the bank for a 6 or 7.5% rate of return without any risk? So you have reinsurance costs that have gone through the roof. So those are the basics of what is going on. So our recommendation is, what can you do? Well, call your state legislator. Ask them what they're doing to reform the insurance in Nevada. Because, folks, I don't want to sit here and tell you the worst case scenario, but rumor has it we have a FAIR plan in the works. It's been created in Nevada. And if you know anything about a second home in Tahoe or at Almanor or any place in California, and you've had to get FAIR plan insurance, you know how expensive it is, and you know how difficult the folks are to deal with. That's just reality. Not saying anything bad, but those are two realities in California. Do we really want that in Nevada? So talk to your representative, look them up online, and ask them, what are you doing to help the consumer? Because here, if we draw this thing out, and the carriers cannot get their rate through the Department of Insurance, and inflation doesn't come down, which lowers their costs, which will help, which would also lower reconstruction costs. We've already had multiple carriers pull out of the state of Nevada. So capacity is shrinking. You have people waiting in those lanes of traffic trying to get insurance. And us as the agents are going, sure, well, wait, we don't have any capacity. We have this much capacity. We have a quarter of a lane of capacity. And so there's real problems, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is the consumer is going to end up paying more. Because if these standard carriers start to disappear, and we have to go to what's called excess and surplus, you are not going to like the cost of your homeowner's policy. You may not like it now, but think of 4, 5, 6, 8x what you're currently paying. We got to do something to stop this. We got to stop the frivolous claims. I don't know how to stop inflation, but so talk to your representative at the legislature. We can work on this together. And this is affecting, like I said, a lot of agencies. There's some agencies, I suppose, maybe they have some extra capacity. The problem is that capacity is very small. And if they start to drive up a whole bunch of new business, and then one of their folks looks at those numbers and says, wait a minute, where'd all this business come from? You could see another shrinking in capacity. So I hope this is helpful to you to understand home and auto. And if you think of autos, the pretty simple thing is we talked about some carriers have shared that 80% of the claims have an attorney on them. You can also now see the limits in an auto in a case where before you couldn't see them unless you subpoenaed the information. And I mean, think of the cost of cars. Used cars are still really expensive. And for the most part, I mean, the carriers are paying actual cash value. So they're paying a depreciated value on your car. They're not paying you a replacement cost value for the most part. So that's driving up the cost of the claims on the autos. Here's a piece of advice. If you get nothing else out of this, protect yourself and your family. If you're in an auto accident and everybody's fine as far as physically, and you don't need immediate medical attention on the spot, please take pictures and videos of the other cars. Be in a safe position, but take pictures and video of the other car, the other drivers, and who's in the other car. Because we've known of claims where they didn't do that, and all of a sudden there were some shenanigans going on as far as the number of people and damages caused. So protect yourself, talk to your representative, use your smartphone when you're in a safe place if you're in an accident or a crash, and make sure that you take pictures and video of the amount of people that are in the other car or cars. And don't assume that you're not at fault, because that's also happening. So make sure you're taking pictures of where things are, again, in a safe position. So hopefully this is helpful. I know this is a long video. Maybe we'll cut it up into bite-sized sections, but that's kind of a snapshot as to what's going on in the property market for personal lines insurance in Northern Nevada. So I wish you the best. And God bless. Have a great day.